Mm.
Okay. Well,
You know, when KPLC came in here, they started, John Britt, you're not running it, are you?
this is just for me. Ain't nobody else can see.
Okay,
I'm gonna cut it up.
John Bridges started, and he was over there, and I picked up a ring, you know, and everything. I said, well, this particular, and I dropped it, and at first I said, oh shit. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I guess start out with you're the color analysis. Everyone knows you as the guy that's got the comments.
They call him the analyst.
Talk about the getting into radio. How did that become something that you wanted to do, be a part of?
Well, to tell you the truth, what happened was McNeese was going to play Troy. And I think at the time I was working at Burton Coliseum. I was the director of Burton Coliseum. They were going to play Troy, and I think it was Ray Valdatero. In the middle of the week, I don't know what really happened, with he and the administration, but somehow or another, McNeese was left with nobody to go to Troy to do the football game. Ray had quit, or whatever happened to Ray. So they called. I think they called Ernie Duplichan first and Hubert, and neither one of them could do it as an analyst for the deal. So they finally called me, and I told them I'd go ahead and try it. I'd never done anything like that before, so it wasn't really an ambition of mine to be that. It was just that I had a little knowledge of football at the time, and I was a third choice anyway. So they called me, and Charlie Grant was the play-by-play guy at that time. So they had a play-by-play guy, but wasn't real well versed with the football aspect of it, other than just the 1st and 10 and all that. So I tried it, and went down there, and I don't know if I was good or bad or indifferent, but I thought I did pretty decent, and maybe I was kind of over some people's head because I was talking more in terminology that we would use, say, at McNeese or when we were coaching and things like that. But it got to where I don't know if this is an egotistical thing, but it got to where I felt comfortable doing it, and I thought I was pretty good at it, and I actually tried to emulate some of the guys on TV and stuff. But so as it went on and on and on, I got to feeling real good in it. And of course, when Tom Hafer came on board, that was the difference to everything. Because Larry Matson was the one that did the radio for the Saints, was my partner then, and he couldn't do it any longer because he had an obligation to the Saints. But Tom Hafer came on board, and that changed everything because Tom is the ultimate professional. He is the best I've ever worked with, and he is the straw that stirs the drink on that television, on our television broadcast. It's not me. It's not me. I'm an old coach, and I tell people what things are happening on the field, and I use the football terms. But Tom is the secret to the success of that operation. And I guess to sum it all up, I got to do this just by mere fact of elimination of the others, and I did it, and I felt comfortable with it, and 19 years later, here I am.
When did your coaching career begin? What started that?
Well, I was doing my student teaching at Sulphur High School under Jack Dolan, and Coach Dolan got a job at LSU. They brought him to LSU, and Coach Suarez took over the team. So I stayed on board at Sulphur and coached that spring and into the fall, and then I got called up on active duty in the Army, so I had to go there, and then I came back out off of active duty and really had to start all over again. I started all over at Oak Park Junior High, and at that time junior high school athletics was pretty competitive because it was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, and 10th, 11th, and 12th was the high school. So you had 9th graders, which are pretty good athletes at that time, so it was a real competitive thing. And I stayed at Oak Park, and then I think I stayed there 3 years, and then went to Bolton High School in Alexandria. And so I spent, I think, 3 years there. And Coach Dolan called me, and I came back to McNeese as a graduate assistant. And that's the years that we went to the bowl game in Baton Rouge, the Grantland Rice Bowl in Baton Rouge, and we had pretty good success. So I was a graduate assistant. Then we had a coach that died. Mo O'Brien was the offensive line coach, and he died and Hubert had moved on to football too. So there was, and so they needed to hire a baseball coach. But Coach Dolan also needed an offensive line coach for football because Mo had died. Well, he hired John McCann, and he's still stuck without a baseball coach. So I was working at that time for the Public Service Commission, and so I worked for the Public Service Commission and also coached baseball at the same time at McNeese. And actually, I was a volunteer. I was free. I didn't get any money from them. So Coach Dolan, the next year, following year, hired me full time as a baseball coach and football coach. Coached the receivers, and everybody on our staff coached 2 sports. Hubert had golf. The other one had tennis, and so all the football staff had 2 jobs, and mine was, of course, baseball and football, which was kind of tough because I had to recruit both sports. But that's basically, and then the rest is all about McNeese. I mean, been there forever. So I guess I'm the longest tenured guy because I started out, not long after McNeese started, as the ball boy when Kenneth Sweeney and that bunch was playing football. I was the boy that went out after they kicked off, I went and got the tee. So I thought I was really important because I could go on the bench and with the team and all that. And that's how I started out. So I guess you'd say that I've been a McNeese person from as long or longer than most anybody. I've seen pretty much everybody play. I'm on the Hall of Fame committee. I'm on the Old Timers committee for the Hall of Fame and things like that. So I guess I am the longest tenured. I've seen Charlie Kane and David Poche both play, both of them with retired numbers. And I would imagine that Leonard Smith will ultimately get retired at some point, and he would be another I've seen play. So again, I've got a long history with McNeese, and it's been a good ride.
So you've been here just about as long as.
Don't say it. As who?
Louis Bonnet.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think we probably came at the same time. He came from Louisiana Tech. I remember one time I was coaching baseball. He was up in the press box, and Coach Maestri was at UNO, and at that time they had a great baseball team, and we were playing them. And Louis got in an argument with Maestri from the PA system there, and got kicked out of the press box. So, and he was a youngster, so that was his learning curve also. So we came pretty close at the same time. But he's another, not another, but he is a icon with McNeese.
What do you think distinguishes McNeese athletics from some of the other schools in our conference and maybe nationwide?
Oh, I think, well, one thing really, I guess the one factor that's really kind of distinguishes us is our mascot was our first students. In other words, the building, the university was built on a government grant that said you're going to build, you have to be an education facility, because all they were going to build was a rodeo arena out there, because they had a quarantine that the cattlemen couldn't bring their cattle to the Houston Fat Stock Show and Livestock. So they brought so they going ahead, and Mr. Burton gave them the land it was a poor farm, They got the land from the government. And so they went ahead and built a education building. In other words, one building you had to have education in there, and an auditorium and the rodeo arena. So all of our first students were the rodeo hands. So I guess that's the most unique situation. I don't see a bunch of tigers or lions or anything running around other people's campuses, but we were the Cowboys from day one up till now, and that our mascot is the same identical thing as our students were. I thought that was unique. The other thing I think is just tradition. I mean, McNeese has been good from day one, and we got. I tell you what, I always thought the key was that we got great high schools athletics. LaGrange, when I was playing at LaGrange, I mean, we were always ranked 1 or 2 in the state, and of course they had Lake Charles High and Sulphur, and then, of course, they added Barb and everything like that. So I think there's not many. Now, in Natchitoches, Louisiana, or Ruston, Louisiana, or Hammond, Louisiana, you don't have that. You don't have great high school feeds. You don't get walk-ons in baseball and walk-ons in football from a city this size at those places. They got to go out and recruit, and way out. I think tradition is kind of the family. The grandfather went there. The father went there. The son goes there. The thing. And
Why is tradition so important to our university? A lot of people always talk about tradition.
yeah, well, it's a closeness. I mean, it's at one point in time, like I said about our high schools, at one early years, and on pretty much like today, it's almost the same thing. We have kids from LaGrange. We have kids from Barb. We have kids from Iway. We have kids from Iota. And it's kind of a family operation where everybody knows everybody. Everybody knew what school they went to. And on Fridays, everybody wore blue and gold. And then we had some pretty good rivalries, too. We didn't like Lafayette. We didn't like Ruston. So we had great rivals, and that united us. We were always united against another opponent, and we were always good, so we always had a chance to win. So I think that's tradition. Our tradition is winning, and winning breeds closeness.
Somebody will stop you.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry about it. That's my cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Is that coming across on there?
No, I don't think so.
I'm not going to answer.
Now here's what I really wanted to hear from is, let's talk about last season.
All right.
Cowboys were not picked high in the ratings, the polls and everything. Started out the season and it ended up at number 6 in the nation. Let's talk about our reemergence in the playoffs this season, how it came to be.
Well, had pretty good players. I'm a real big Matt Viator fan, and I just leave it all in his hands. And it's never going to be down for long, And the year before, we had some pretty key injuries. We had some pretty good football players. We started the season. I kind of get confused on what year it was, but at one point in time, we had 4 of the best running backs we've ever had in the history of that university, all at the same time. And we got down to the 4th one, and he almost ended up the year as a top offensive player in the conference. I think that was Anderson, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that Coach V does such a great job. And if you did go back on his record and you took away the money games, and because one of those 3 losses was a money game, and excuse me, one of the wins was a money game. It certainly was, and 2 of them was money games also, because I guess you put Middle Tennessee in there also with it. So, no, I just think the emergence was him, and I thought the addition of our offensive line coach, I thought was a big thing too. He turned out to be a real good addition to our staff, and that helped. And I don't know, the playoff situation, I'm not sure. Sometimes I look back and see how good the strength of our conference was to put us in a situation where we're ready for those teams like that. Now, Southeastern has really, they're living today with 31 transfers, so they've set the bar pretty high now. And this is going to be a tough season, but I think if you want to say about the emergence was, we never have really, what is an emergence? What is a bad record? In other words, we had 3 losses last year, and I heard people talking about, well, it wasn't good. That was great. That was a good year. Everybody looks to the playoffs, and as well they should. They want to go to but we got to also think about another thing. There's no teams in the playoffs that are bad. Jacksonville ended up pretty doggone good, and I think that was a good football team. I'm not so sure that even if it were a close game, we'd have won that. So I don't worry about the playoffs. They'll take care of themselves. We've been in a lot of playoffs that we've won. We've had a lot of success in the playoffs because we've been to the national championship game twice, and we've won a lot of games. So I don't know where that argument comes in, if it's even an argument. Maybe it just somebody might have said it or something, but I think the emergency is due to a good staff, a coherent staff, a lot of closeness in the staff and the players, and I think Matt, that's a tribute to Matt Viator and how he reloads every year, even with the staff, you know.
So you talked about the losses. They were hard. The Northern Iowa,
Yeah.
Southeastern, and Jacksonville.
Well, they weren't. Yeah, you say those losses. There was a big score difference in those games.
Like when we lost games. Those were,
Yeah, we did. Not at Northern Iowa. We didn't lose. Northern Iowa won, because Northern Iowa is hard to beat in that dome, and they turned out to be pretty doggone good too. They went down and played North Dakota, who won the national championship, a pretty close game. Jacksonville turned out pretty good, and then Southeastern had 31 transfers, and they got the backup quarterback who played all that year before because the starter got hurt, of the team that almost was the national champion. That's the University of Oregon. All of our transfers, you talk about Coach V, all the transfers we get are guys we either recruited when they were in high school, they went somewhere else and came back, or they're Louisiana kids. Southeastern got them from all over the United States. I mean, from Oregon, the quarterback from Oregon, and started for the University of Oregon. We knew how good they were. They were almost the fathers of the read option, you know. So they were great. So I think those were just good football teams, and I don't think we beat ourselves in those games. We got some bad injuries, but I think they beat us. The other team was that good. I don't think we've ever had a game where we laid down and quit. I've never seen that under a team coached by Coach V. So I just say, to answer your question, I just say that other team beat us, and they would have beat us even if it was a close game.
So that was a tough game.
Yeah.
Then we had something even worse with Sam Houston State. You know, they're runner-ups again.
Yeah.
And the national championship scene, big rivalry for us.
Yeah.
What was that? The attitude of most of the players were they were there to do their job.
You talking about this past year?
This past season.
Well, I tell you what, it was all about Flanders. I mean, we stopped a guy that I don't think has not had a 100-yard rushing game since I've seen him at. I thought he was a good candidate for the Walter Payton Award, going to be the best college football player, and he was shut down to, I don't know what his rushing, but it was probably less than 50 yards rushing. And finally, they were substituted for him, and McNeese rose to the occasion. That was the same team that had been to the national championship game the year before. And they had all of those guys returning. So McNeese was playing with what we're saying was a rebuilding team against the team that was very, very, very good and had a good record coming in that game. And McNeese is pretty good at our stadium too now. You know, we talk about playing at other stadiums, but McNeese is good at home. And we just waxed them because that night we were better than they were. Better coached.
It was a great feeling with homecoming being there, and just the attitude of workmanship. And you know, the last year that we played them, it was just hard loss. It was the game got away. It was 50-something to 10. Oh
Lord, yeah, it was terrible. They good. They just had a good football team that year too. But let me say this though, that's the only thing that kind of upsets me when we talk about, you know, not having success in the playoff or something. It's people, you only think about the last game we played. You know, what about Sam Houston that year? You know, what about those games that we just bowed up and beat those guys? You know, it's not about, when we go to the playoffs, we're playing some of the best in the country. Well, we beat some of the best in the country too. We beat Central Florida, you know, a Division I school. So, I don't know. McNeese has had great success and are still having good success. And let's think about the games we won, you know. And it's the difference in the score that upsets people, I guess, what it does. But again, Jacksonville had a bunch of transfers themselves, and they were good. Jacksonville was good. But think about the big games we've won, and don't necessarily. It's just that. Maybe we shouldn't be in the playoffs because that's going to be the last game you ever play. The only team in the country that really doesn't lose their last game that's in the playoffs is the national champion. Everybody else loses their last game. You know, in the whole playoff system, there are 24 teams in the thing. 23 teams lose their last game.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about a couple of players that we have here.
All right.
And we're hoping to talk to them too. So,
All righty.
Cody Stroud.
All right.
Became the all-star kid, the quarterback. You know, he didn't follow Derek Faroux, but
Yeah.
he's a kid that started at LSU that
Yeah.
looked like he had a lot to show and really rose to the occasion in his senior year.
Let me say something before you go into that. Derek Faroux was the only person I know that at minute 5 years game, I'm on the Hall of Fame committee. He went into the Hall of Fame. After that, you have to be out 5 years before you can go in the Hall of Fame. He was the first I can remember that went in on his first time of being eligible. I think Derek Faroux was maybe not the best, that's the most talented, but maybe the best quarterback we've ever had there, and that says a lot because I just think an awful lot of him. So, yeah, Cody had some tough shoes to fill.
Let's talk about Cody a little bit.
All right.
His, you know, that rising up in his senior year.
Yeah.
It looked like he really, over the summer, really excelled. Something happened to him. Something clicked.
Well, Cody, to me, kind of set the wrong tone with me, because he looked like an All-American when we played LSU. He had a 50-yard run, and he just looked like a tremendous guy. So he set the bar too high, and I kept expecting that same Cody to come. Well, we ran the read option a lot, but I never saw Cody actually run the ball. You know, but maybe that was a strategy or something, not to get him hurt or whatever. But he did a good job in the passing game, and I think he was a good football player. But he just set the bar too high, I thought, when at LSU for me, and probably for a lot of other fans, because he just looked remarkable that time. Now I think his senior year is he did. He maybe even paid a little bit of attention to what people like that. He set the bar too high. And he had a good senior year. Really, he's ended up on one of the teams, that went on as a free agent, but he got cut, I guess, or whatever. And but if he was good enough to do that, he obviously was a pretty good quarterback. But he had a good career. Huh?
He broke a lot of records. It seemed like every week it was something else that had been broken. So.
Yeah. Well, a quarterback. Sometime at the end of the year, quarterbacks that lead in passing yardage and passing things are not necessarily the ones that play for the winners. The ones that have to throw the most. But he, like I say, he did great. Now I thought in the passing game, thought he was a good, in that. So, and he got the offensive player of the year on offense. Of course, Bennett from Southeastern got the player of the year. So that they had two quarterbacks. So the other people in the conference thought an awful lot of Cody, but and I did too. But I thought he played pretty good his senior year. Just like I say, we had to catch up on those 3 games, and you have to throw an awful lot when you're down like we were.
Marcus Wiltz is another one that we're going to miss.
Yeah.
Coming in right after what was his name? Anderson.
Yeah, from transfer from Michigan State, wasn't he? Yeah.
Coming in right after him, we had
Anderson was our 4th tailback that year, that previous year.
Marcus suffered an injury as well.
Yeah.
Talk about his progression a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, the last 3 years, we've had some of the best tailbacks that we've ever had at that school, and Wills is one of them. And I tell you that those in the defensive back, sometime, I promise you, in the booth, if they'd all changed jerseys, I couldn't tell you which was which. I could. They're all about the same height. They're not real tall, lanky guys, and they had a tough assignment now, Wilson and the rest of them, and that is to run the read option, and the defensive end knows that a quarterback's not going to run, so they bang in their heads, and Wilson's still gaining yards. I think Wilson is the one, if I'm not mistaken, Wilson is the one that was kind of like a torpedo. He ran low and fell forward. Was that Bennett? Yeah, maybe it was. Okay, Bennett. But I know. Wilson's a good running back. I know but I just, like I say, I couldn't hardly tell the difference in some of them sometimes.
Like the thing was BMW. There's always a BMW Bennett.
Yeah.
Wilts and I don't remember what the other one.
I don't know, but we took them out to the that horse barns, that real nice horse place out there, and took pictures of them on horseback and called them the Four Horsemen. Yeah, that one year, and they were the Four Horsemen. I mean, and then the next year we had Four Horsemen. I tell you what, this year we got, I don't know, probably 5 or maybe even 6 quarterbacks that are pretty doggone good. We had that happen to us before too, where we went down to another quarterback.
You mentioned that we've got a
Yeah.
transfer that has a legacy, that shares a legacy name.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it looks to me like maybe we will end up a little bit like Mark Fontenot and Derek Farou. They complemented each other, and both of them, one was a relief pitcher, and then we had, let's see, I think Scott Pendarvis and Corcoran was a good combination. We've had the two, and I think Tyler Bofing and Sams will complement each other. I think they'll both play. I think Sams comes to us as a proven runner. 800 and something yards he rushed at Kansas State against some pretty good football teams with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and all that bunch. But so he's coming as a herald player. But Tyler and Briscoe, who bless his heart, he's been hurt all along, but he's a talented guy. If he could stay healthy, he would be in the mix. And then of course what's the other, Ashworth, the 6'6" quarterback. He's 6'6", and he throws good and hard and everything. But that's 4 talented guys. But I think that Sams is a great addition. I mean, a great, because he's proven option type quarterback, and he could throw the ball. I watch him on the classics on the playbacks from Kansas State. Threw the ball pretty good, and Tyler Bofing looks good to me. I mean, I kind of always thought he was a pretty good quarterback, and of course a 3.9 or 4.0 grade point average doesn't hurt a quarterback either. So no, I just think it's going to be a good situation, and make no bones about it, Sams is a good quarterback. And don't get him confused with Sam, who is a good defensive back. Aaron Sam.
Was it B.J. Sams? That's his uncle?
Uncle. B.J. Sams, yeah. B.J. went to, played with the Ravens a couple of years, 2 or 3 years.
Who's B.J.?
B.J. Sams?
Yeah.
Who is he?
Yeah, I know you know him.
Yeah, basically I know him from being one of our great receivers and punt returners and kickoff guys. So, yeah, he was as good an athlete as we've ever had, and especially went to the Ravens and had some good years up there. But now, remember, it's Sams, and then we got Aaron Sam. No Ken. One's a S and one's Sam. And I had to learn that one. So B.J. Sams and quarterback Sams are Ken. The other one is Sam from LaGrange.
We'll finish up with this one. It was said a lot last year that at the point last year that in the next couple of years that this Cowboys team has a chance to be something special.
Well, I tell you what, the receivers look pretty special to me out there. And if you're talking about in a few years down the road, Shelby, isn't it Shelby, the receiver? He looks great, and he's got 4 years left. He's last year he was had I think some academic problems where he had to go back and retake the test or something. But he looks great, and he's going to be here for 4 years, so that's down the road. And some young ones I just noticed in the paper the other day, and of course we got a lot of them coming back. So again, the receivers are going to be real good. Offensive line is when they get the backup straight, They're going to be pretty good. And we've always had some young kids behind the other ones, and we always play a lot of players. You know, we take 53, say, on the road. We pretty much play 53 players. I tell you what's going to be deep this year is the kicking game. There's actually competition, you know, with Bro, who is a heck of a kicker, and we've got some good kickers out there. I saw him interviewing a kid yesterday that had walked on at LSU and stuff, so I didn't even know about him. So we're going to be pretty deep there. And of course, I think the kicking game is 1/3 of the game. You know, I just say it's offense, defense, and kicking game. So I think the deep snapper, for instance, or the holder is just as important as a lot of guys on offense and defense. So it's set. That's set. But down the road, I don't know what's coming because I don't know who's what the freshmen look like. You know, that right now, but. And it might be tough for a lot of freshmen to get to play because we're pretty well set on our offense and defense.
One more question. Your go-to guy, I think number 34 was his name.
Long?
Dylan Long.
Dylan Long. I love Dylan Long. Dylan Long is the kind of guy. I don't know who I'd compare him to. Somebody said Luke Lawton, but no, not really. Dylan Long is the guy that can make some of the best-looking 5-yard runs on a fourth and 4. He made one. It was a 5-yard run where looked like he hit everybody on the defense and got the first down. He's strong, but it doesn't matter how strong he is or whatever he is. It's him. It's his heart. It's something in there. God put together something special in that guy that he can get it for you, and you can depend on him. And he's going to get the first down, like I say. Derek Faroo was like that. Derek Faroo, I remember we were getting beat by one of the Division II schools, I believe it was, and I can't recall, but we had seconds on the clock. Seconds on the clock. Henderson, just seconds on the clock, and it was something like a 4th and goal on about the 6-yard line, whatever it was. And we had a pass called, and he tucked it and he ran, and there was no doubt in his mind, everybody else's mind, that he was going to get that touchdown, and did it. And he made play after play after play after play. And Dylan would be the same type of person. I would think it. You know, if something happens to them in life or something, they'd be the person that could really endure.
Okay.
That it?